Chris Shaw, committee member.
Scott Rand.
Rich Tree, City of Porterville.
Yeah, Greg Shelton, entrances.
Mike Quantiker, hangar owner.
Elizabeth Ray, a hangar owner.
Russell Isom, City of Porterville.
Thank you for coming. Now we're gonna go with the next move with oral communication. Is there anybody on the screen?
We're not taking any of that.
So what we have here today is the ground lease agreement and for the review and discussion on the current master ground lease agreement for the Porterville Municipal Court Airport. I'm sorry. So with that, anybody want to start off with what we have? I think we have any concerns or any things that would like to bring to the discussion? Okay.
Maybe, Mr. Chair, if I may add some context to some previous discussions, the committee members, my understanding is committee members have provided comments to the master ground lease agreement for consideration. Those comments were provided to the city attorney, who then, in this packet in your agenda is the red line version, taking those comments into consideration and the viewpoint of where she's representing the city. So has made those edits, and you'll see it. You've seen it in the red line.
Did she receive everybody's comments?
My understanding she did, but if you feel like there's comments that weren't addressed, you can discuss those as well and bring those to light. But I think it would be good that we receive comment. Ultimately, there are many current senior lease agreements that are on a month-to-month renewal until we come to until we can provide a recommendation to city council so they can take action. And there are future tenants that are eager to get moving on their projects. And for example, Dan from Reach, they're trying to move forward with their project, but are in a holding pattern because we don't have an agreement or a path to move forward on what the new master ground agreement should be. So maybe rewinding earlier this year at the city council, and how this committee ultimately was formed, was staff had done an appraisal. An outside company did an appraisal on hangar rate. It would and amendments to the master ground lease to be in compliance with the FAA. Ultimately, that as presented, the council was happy about many of the things. There was a lot of public opinion and recommendations that during that particular item. And so out of that, the council said, you know what, let's form this committee of interested parties to figure this out, bring recommendations back to council so that we can then move forward in the spirit of that there's local control, right? The airport community is involved in the development of any amendments to the master ground lease agreement, and then whatever else they want to cover, right? What other topics? And I think there's been some discussion on a couple other things. I won't go into detail, but so that's kind of how we got here, and kind of a wide lens of why this is important. And we appreciate the committee members and public providing comment. As to my understanding is the attorney did receive all the comments. Now it could, we may need to get her to respond. There are potentially some comments or recommendations to the city to do that we can't. That from the city's perspective, we can't do that. I'm not sure, and I'm just kind of speculating at this point as maybe the reason why. And I don't know what those comments, what was not included. But if there's kind of just proposing to Mr. Chair, a flow, if there's a particular area that the committee is like, hey, we need to talk about this because I'll use insurance. That's was a topic that was concerned, right? Is that where we want, or do you have your notes and you ready to talk? Then let's do it that way. I'm open to, but I wanted to kind of set the stage and also the reason why this is really important. And I'm hoping that we can move forward. And I'm hopeful that a recommendation can go to council so that they can vote on it. And then we really move forward with the current hanger population, with future businesses and hanger folks. We can just move forward. So I'll pause there.
Can I ask?
Sure.
Hey, the city manager, and you know, it's, forgive my ignorance here. I see the red line, that's stuff we're taking out. Right. I
Or
see-
comments on a particular section, yeah.
Okay,
So
and
there could
that,
be a highlight and a comment to the right,
I see.
or if there's a strike through, that would be
We're
removed.
omitting.
Uh-huh.
So this, the highlighted has to do with the notes to the side.
Yeah,
Okay, that's just a question about the format because I'm reading them on comment. So that's all I have for now.
Rose, do you have a comment that was not answered, or do you?
I do not. I think there's a few others that we were kind of wondering if the comments, because there wasn't reference to them. Was there any that you?
Yeah, I mean, I had some that. Yeah, and I don't think that they were maybe looked at or gotten to because they didn't.
Do you have them with?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
That's my only copy, so I don't have a copy to look at it to see where you're at. No, that was just mine that I submitted. At the same time everybody else did, and they didn't get looked at, and then I submitted them at the last meeting.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
would you like me to submit these to record?
Yeah, I thought I had already done that, but I guess,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
we
don't-
submit these into record,
Yeah.
so what you're,
everything in type, the stuff that's handwritten, those are my notes at the last,
Sure.
so those are not really to be. Somebody clarified those, so,
okay,
that was my notes.
so number one would be premises? That's what you have.
Yes, I don't have it in front of me, so I had to, sorry, so. Can we make a copy of it, so I can have a second copy?
Oh, yeah.
Make a copy.
of this?
I have them. That was submitted along with the packet of comments that was provided. There was some from Ms. Groves, Mr. Shaw. I believe even Fred submitted something via email that looked like a hanger agreement of sort, but we couldn't really, I had to format that in a different way. That was also sent over to legal, and then I believe there was something else. There was another that may have been, that actually may have been.
I'm wondering why they're not in here. Then. So, which ones would you like to commit as not? I'll give you back.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe you could just describe it and we can
Describe
look
it
at
to
that
us, and we can
section.
look it up and we can.
Everything on this page, other than what's in my handwriting.
Yes,
Look at it, for example, the first comment.
yeah, the first, on your number one premise.
On premises, we subject exhibit A, would like to see a more current lease map. Surely there's one more current than 5/9/2019.
Okay.
With all the activity and all the new leases that have been assigned.
You're requesting a more current.
Yeah.
Lease.
That's
agreement?
correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And that fair question, and that typically would come I don't know if it has any bearing on the actual lease, because it's an exhibit showing the map. That's something that we have and we'll provide and would be attached to the agreement itself. Okay, what's the next one?
Yeah, the next one.
The next one was, terms. The subject would be, should council get a pre-approved length of lease time at time of approval of master lease?
Should council create a pre-approved length of lease time at, so kind of to that point, to that question, it has been where the length of the term has been driven by the applicant or the person that's actually wanting to lease the hangar. So there's a range of terms. Is your question where you want to define it? Like it could either be 5, 10, 15?
Yes. And let that be the council making that decision.
Okay.
And that was one recommendation that we had, was to offer a 20, 10, and 10. Before you would have to.
Kind of as a standardized.
Just standardized.
And so the attorney has. I thought you had already memorized it all.
Hey, that's a lot of reading.
Let's see, when it comes to, yeah.
You know,
I think it's on.
you didn't have to give this to me.
So 20 and 10 is recommended.
That's what we
Standard.
would like to recommend. Yes.
Okay, so you want a standard, because right now it's written as, it's open-ended, right? And that, the history had been, someone comes in, they want to lease a hangar, and it's been, most of them have been long-term. But my understanding is it's really been driven by the person that actually wants to lease the hangar.
Oh, really?
Well, I think here's another little issue that we might be having. This is one lease. But we have people that own their own hangar. We have people that are leasing from the city a hangar.
Yes.
That might be a different terms of what somebody want to lease from the city a hangar. So like, I might go to the city and say, hey, do you guys have a hangar for rent? I like to lease it for 2 years, but if I own my own hangar, I'm gonna want to lease from the ground from the city for 20 years, not a 2-year
Because
lease.
you have your own.
Yeah, correct.
That would,
And also,
actual-
that's a good point.
that would be assumable upon sale to the new buyers or whatever, somebody else coming in to where.
Yeah. it needs to
If you're,
be
it's presentable to a buyer, but we have 20 years, I got 15 years left on this and 2 10-year options. It makes it a lot easier for them to come in and say, okay, I know where we're at.
So you, to the question is you would like to see language on both.
Well, there should be actually,
Permanent.
there's probably,
Separate.
there should be 3 different leases.
Okay, 3 separate.
Because we have a commercial side with Reach,
Yeah,
Del Air,
correct.
and then it'll also be the school district for the hangars they just purchased as well.
You think that could be possible, Mr.?
Yeah, that's a good point, and this is strictly for the ground lease. And so if the committee wants standard terms, that's no problem. If that's the desire of the committee, that will be recommended to the city council and they can vote on it. Good point that, you know, if you're just renting a city-owned hangar, that is a separate, totally different agreement.
Question, Yeah. Yeah, so like, maybe clarify what Miles said, I don't want to speak for him, is I don't think anybody is leasing a city-owned hangar, they're just renting. And this appears to be just a land lease. That needs to be broken up. So there's verbiage in here that talks about rent. That's in my notes. Well, what's considered rent? What's considered lease?
Would you like?
When we get further down on it,
you
you'll find out.
What you're asking is to find.
Yeah, separated in the different leases.
That's month to month and leases for a term.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we ran into this when I was on council a decade ago. And I think in our charter, and I'm on the charter committee and I don't know this, we had something, and I don't know if you know it, Fernando, where we could have no contract longer than a month or 90 days or some such.
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Well, that's a point that it was in the church. That was the stumbling block with doing these long-term leases before, is by charter, we weren't allowed to do them. They all had to have a 90-day out clause.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that even exists, and I'm on the committee and I don't know if it's still in there. But that's something, it's gonna run afoul of this if we don't get that clarified. Because you asked the attorney if she remembers where we're at. What is our policy on city rental agreements, rental lease agreements? Do you know?
Yeah, there is a termination clause. There's several ways to terminate a clause. And I think it's defined in here.
This one right here.
For the ground lease.
Sure, but does this run afoul of the charter?
So there is a separate section specifically to, and it's Charter 68 and Mr. Shaw's had comment, is yet comment in regards to Charter Section 68.
Because my point I'm getting at is we're doing a charter review right now.
Yeah.
So if this runs afoul of something and you want to fix it, now's the time to fix it.
So Greg, are you asking, maybe I need clarification on what you're bringing up here in regards to the length of the leases are only 90 days?
Well, they have an out clause. So
Oh.
technically, if you have an out clause, it's 90 days, technically, that's all, you can have a 100-year lease, but if there's 90-day out clause, you only got 90 days.
Right, which is a 90-day eviction notice.
Exactly. So the point is, and that's my point, and the point is nothing we can do is supposed to run afoul of the charter, because the charter ostensibly is the Constitution. And so we run into a thing of, I don't know, superiority, but I would probably bet that the charter probably would trump any lease that we have.
And I think the committee, mine, I'll just speak on it, is, it was just saying, hey, at the will of the city, we can get you out in 90 days. So that basically looked like a 90-day eviction notice at any time, no matter what. The charter has now cleared it up a little bit, or the reference to the charter
Right.
that we finally see now kind of clears that up, but there's still a little bit of, in my eyes, a little bit like, whoa. So the city can just say, hey, we're gonna terminate your lease because we want to come and take your lease
You need
and
to-
your improvement, anything on it, and now turn it into whatever we want to use it for. Whether the city said, okay, you know what, we want to turn it into non-aviation, and I get a little far, but non-aviation use activity, whereas it'd be like, no. Maybe it should be where it's gonna benefit this.
But I think that's what the FAA thing says, doesn't it? That basically the priority must be aeronautical use, isn't that
But
correct?
what I'm saying is the city has in their charter says that. I had to find it.
Yeah, I got it.
It says, hey, we can get rid of it.
But I think the FAA, that's FAA.
I'm not even going that far. I'm going,
It is the charter essentially, and this is all out of being respectful, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, the city owns the land that's on the airport.
Right.
And the charter makes that clear that in the event they, like Mr. Shaw's example, if they choose to do, now we have no intention, right? At least.
No, not right now.
But if they decide, because the city owns the land.
But the
then
city
they-
on the land is subject to the FAA.
No, if we want to accept FAA financial assistance, then we have to agree to their terms and
I didn't
conditions.
know that. So that's news to me.
So we have received FAA financial assistance and we plan to continue. That's how we can repave the runway. We don't have another funding source. So yes, we're having to abide by their terms and conditions. And which one of them is that it needs to be aeronautical related?
Okay, that's my point. My point is you've got all these overlying layers of government. And again, I'm going back 10 years ago. We leased the fair property to them because they didn't want to buy that property because they were going to have to pay, I think I talked to you, property taxes on it. So we leased it to them with a 99-year lease, which I think was rent afoul. I think it was the problem we had back then. And at the time, the FAA said, you have to lease it for, a going rate. I think we had to do a bunch of stuff to not run afoul of the FAA. And that's what I'm worried about here. Are we going to run afoul of the FAA?
no, so my comment was, so here on JL9, comment in JL9, Charter Section 68 only applies if the city were to terminate the lease due to needing the space for city use.
I got you.
Right.
So is it for the city use saying, hey, we're gonna start running and operating our own FBO? Hey, we're gonna start, we want you out of that hangar because now we want to start renting that hangar to anybody that wants to put an airplane in it.
Well,
That's my right.
It wouldn't be like that, the example you used right there, but is there a possibility that at some point in the future, the city wants to build a terminal? I don't, very low percentage, but I think that would be the example is, hey, there's been a huge investment in the airport. They want a terminal and they need this plot of land. And so they are going to use that charter to they go to the property owner and say, we will give you fair market value for that, but we need that land to build a terminal.
And when the city is going a little further, would the city be like, or whoever say, hey, we will assist you in relocating you on another piece of property and
I think the city strives to find mutual ways to benefit both parties, right? We wouldn't just displace someone and say, see you later, especially with as much land available out there. We're not, so I think there's a ton of options and I think all the elected officials would want to find a mutual way that both parties are benefiting from. That would be like an extreme example of why the city would need to come in and say, hey, we need to cancel this ground lease because we're building the terminal. It wouldn't be to do it,
yeah. And that was just the item of concern, but now it looks like it's now been clarified now more. Some of that verbiage has been taken out and is referring to charter.
Okay, but I guess I'm still a little fuzzy on it and yeah, I say, I'm here from the government, I'm here to help you. Well, I'm so sure that's not how it's gonna go.
But I guess some of it was just how plain the wording is, the city can come and use it for whatever they need. And when it should come in and say possibly, hey, we could
For the benefit of the stakeholders.
commandeer your land to maybe advance the aviation portion of the airport. That's gonna probably be a thing, okay.
yeah.
But just to say, hey, we could take your land because we want to use it, it's kind of like, that just brings a lot of questions up.
Yeah, this one's, some maturity in the language. I agree. Mr. Shelton had mentioned that this is the time that the council's considering charter amendments. And that could be a possibility. I don't know if the council has an appetite to look at Charter 68 and revising the language so that it's not so black, you're cut and dry. I don't know.
I listen, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. I honestly think it should be vague. If I'm for the city and I decide I need something, I don't want to get mired down in negotiations, so I almost want that to be in there. On the other side, if I'm sitting in your position, I would like something that was, ironclad for a set amount of terms. I don't know where the balance is.
And I think also if you read the details a little bit more, I could be wrong. I'm reading so much information. I'm getting confused. What I read here, what I read here. I think there's even a statement in there that the FA or the federal government can come do it. Well, you're not going to do it. You're not going to win anything on that one.
No,
like maybe in a time of war, like, hey, we need this airport to do training again or something like that. You can't even control that. So that's kind of the same basis that the city's working at, but
I mean,
yeah,
like I said again,
I don't know how you clarified it in the trouble.
I don't know how to assuage everybody's concerns enough and then also feel like, well, hey, I'm locked into this 20-year lease with a holdout that won't move unless we give them $1 million. I don't want to do that to the city either. But I also understand it's you spent the money and everything else. You'd like to have something a little more concrete. What I'm getting at is we can put all this in here, but if the charter says otherwise, the charter, like I said, federal government first, then the charter second, then the city of Porterville, and honestly, this thing's last on the list. I think it's probably gonna defer all the way up the chain. So I'm just saying, whatever you do on this, you should probably get it to mirror it in the charter. Otherwise, I think that a lot of this stuff might not be enforceable. It's just.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
The next question, rental and business privilege consideration, which is on page 2 of the agreement. And I think this is where rental versus lease, there's multiple terms being used. My understanding is this is where we put in writing how much the square foot cost will be for that ground lease. So if the heading, it sounds like it's confusing and needs clarity. But that probably is lawyer terminology. but essentially what is being described in this section is the parties have agreed to pay $1 per square foot for that.
And also, in this lease, there's not stating what business privileges can be conducted.
Yeah, and I don't know, again, the section header could be revised. And I'll reach out to the city attorney on that comment is, because I don't think this is a section that is really talking about what can and can't be done on the land. This is essentially my understanding is there's right below its purpose, right? It talks about storing aircraft, maintenance, commercial construction or amateur build aircraft. Section.
You know, unless that becomes something where it's okay, well, this is just the lease for general hangars, but when it comes to business, it'll be.
I think I got that in here.
Exhibit
I
C,
think I gave you just,
B, E, F, G.
The first one, let me read it.
we just didn't.
On that.
No, I'm not gonna read it.
Right, so that's a recommendation that we have to find more competitive rates observed for home rather than trying to use San Francisco and LA. Because we are considerably higher than everywhere else around us, and I don't see how we can get business here with such high rates.
Okay.
You want local,
And
local.
Yeah,
Rate.
more competitive.
So just to put it in perspective, there's a key hanger that's for sale in Fresno. And the lease rate on that is $26 a month. And we have a person here that has a key hanger that's paying $75 a month.
And it's smaller than the one in Fresno.
Yeah.
Here is smaller than Fresno. That's a big difference.
You got that rate.
Yeah, I don't know the whole tree, but I agree. I think the appraisal and looking at rates is after we can get this master ground lease agreement. That would be my section versus, but if that's a desire of the committee, and I think the council is somewhat interested in opening up the rate structure. We can hire an appraisal company to do that and focus on local within a 50 aeronautical mile zone or whatever you guys want to define.
And again, I go back to, I found it here, and I probably did, it's 90 days, basically, it's a 90, so everything's got a 90-day out clause. So that means that any lease you got is only good up to 90 days, you know what I mean?
That's the charter.
It's a charter.
Yeah, here's the charter. Right?
Yeah,
Thanks, Brandon.
yeah, thanks. And so anything you would do, you need to address again in the charter too. And you're talking about the rates and getting a value on the rates. I think, again, I'm back to the FAA. Are you saying the FAA is okay with whatever rate we have, or do they have oversight, or can they honor this if we don't do the rate
They
correctly?
can, we've been told by the FAA that, we cannot give away their
That's what I heard.
essentially. And then their second comment is, are any agreements related to their has to include their terms and conditions.
Right. What are those? Have you read?
A whole list of them.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Anything in there you liked? Anything in there that horribly egregious that you saw in there?
if it's what the attachment was, I didn't see anything that was crazy.
I just want to make sure there's not a.
And I read all the comments. I mean, I read the whole thing and I'm like, okay, I see their standpoint.
I'm glad you read it, because I sure wasn't.
I mean, they make it very clear, about non-aeronautical use of hangars.
Yeah, I hear that's an issue, right? Okay.
We get approval from the FAA to put non-aviation usage for a hangar, but it has to be available to somebody with an aircraft within 30 days.
So if somebody wants to come in and get one, they can bump you out.
As long as it's.
But that's the
approved.
city, that's the city owned stuff.
No,
Could be any,
Anything?
anything.
because their terms and conditions have to be attached to this ground lease agreement.
But that's after the city's been asked for space, and if there isn't, then you go to the public and ask for space.
If some random guy can just come in and say, I want my airport, get your crap out of there. Conceivably, is that true?
So-
Someone could come in and not use.
Yeah, they're supposed to say yours, okay, you're supposed to be out in 30 days.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I would think,
Does that ever happen?
Not at this airport.
What, another?
but they have space to build. It's like, I don't understand. Okay, you want to build something.
Yeah, I know,
And-
but what's the future on
Yeah,
that?
so don't go, I don't see how they could bounce back against the private sector on that. I mean, until all the stuff is built out, like in LA and all these other places, it's all built out and they're still wanting more room. But there's still land everywhere out there. But they come in and say, hey, I need this place. Well, good. Would love to have you. Here's how much we're going to charge you per month for the land lease. Build something.
Well, they can't bump you out of your building.
I don't.
If it's for non-aviation use and you have approval, yeah, they can bump out whoever's in there.
Say again, Miles?
The FAA.
Say it again, Miles?
So we own the hangar.
Yeah.
We got approval from the FAA to use it for a non-aviation use. Somebody comes in with a plane and says, I need that hangar because there's nothing else available. Technically, our stuff has to be out within 30 days.
Yep.
Then use that.
Oh, okay.
Or enough of your stuff or all your stuff.
Or
Well,
non,
it had to be enough of our stuff to where they could
Park their airplane.
use the aircraft without having to move our stuff to get the airplane.
And I think that same thing that Miles was talking about,
I don't want to spend least property for the reason.
I think the same thing that Miles is talking about is if you're gonna use it for non-aviation related. I don't know if the individual goes directly to the FAA first, or if they go to the city, if they go to the city, if they go to the city, and the city goes to you.
I would just say it's aeronautical, I'll make it fly.
Well, yeah,
No,
it's it's their terms and conditions.
I got it. That is, there is no wiggle room on that. Luckily, it doesn't happen, very frequently, and probably not here anyway, because like you said, a lot of property over here and probably down up in Hollywood it happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Anyways,
I get really off track. I was
yeah,
just-
we're good. Let's
Yeah.
go back on track.
Subject rental rate, is this the lease? Is this about lease payments and adjustments? You should change to lease rate. So
yeah, and
that's
we'll,
verbiage again, right?
yeah, verbiage, it is regarding the rate that you'll be paying for the ground lease.
But is it a rent or are we renting? So it's like, how does that start becoming tomato?
Yeah, we could see if we can have more standardized.
And I think that also kind of helps clarify, okay, who's renting, and that's something totally
Yeah, something
different.
totally different compared
So
to.
one thing I could look at is once your lease is up, they could do a rental past that for month to month without renewing the lease, I guess.
So then Scott's on a rental right now? You're renting the dirt?
But you're doing
Yeah.
something.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
We know that's what that is, or we think that's what that
It
is?
is exactly
Okay,
what's
okay.
happening.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to finalize the.
This clarified, yeah.
Okay.
So who's gonna set the rate? I mean, is it gonna be everybody's gonna negotiate their own rate? Or are we just gonna say, it's 11 cents a square foot, or it's, 30 cents a square foot, or I know you're gonna do a big sweep around and look around. And are you gonna just take everybody's and bring it back down? And then say, okay, when somebody calls Porterville Airport, yeah, here, we got this much dirt. You can have as much as you want for 20 cents a square foot.
So there
And
will,
build.
to your question, ultimately the council sets the rate. We have a rate structure right now that hasn't changed. It was proposed earlier in the year to change the rate structure, but that was denied. If the committee is desiring to take a look at the rates again, then that needs to be a recommendation. I would say it's separate from this agreement. Because we have a rate structure in place. We don't have an agreement in place that folks can move forward on.
I see what you're saying.
Is this,
I would imagine most people don't want to sign this until they see what the rate's gonna be.
It could be, and we can do tandem.
But but that's the difference between approving this, or asking it to be approved versus you signing the lease.
It seems like, we still need, get some, clarification on some issues here before we even move forward, but, I think we got some recommendations, I believe, from one Mrs. Groves, $26 a month for a particular hangar. Compared to here in Porterville, $75 for a smaller hangar, but we're charging $75. And your recommendation would be to get that more localized and make an assessment on that?
More competitive price.
Yeah.
Or competitive price?
Competitive price.
Okay, not from outside sources like LA or San Francisco, because that really does not. compute with us.
Yeah,
It's more localized.
And I want to add that if you bring your rate, if you want business to come here, you're gonna have rates now. Because when you go to Visalia for 20 cents a square foot, you know, they're gonna go to Visalia. He's got a friend that could have rented from him, but Sequoia Field offered $100 a month for his, and it's a twin engine, big hangar, you know, because nobody's there, so they're gonna go there.
They're trying to get anybody and everybody.
Yeah, they'll take anybody for nothing, just keep people in there.
Yeah.
That's one we can discuss.
I was just
The
gonna
next
say.
one was,
Oh, I'm sorry, no,
No, go ahead, Greg.
Well, I'll just do it quickie. I have rental houses and Mike does too. And I think a rent and lease are kind of synonymous. Typically a lease is like for more than 1 month, but you can have a month to month lease. Mike, what's your experience? You do rental houses. I mean, you know, basically
It's month to month.
month to month, but you can, I don't know.
Somebody wanted to, I've never had people really want to lease it, you know, it's just. Yeah, most of them are just.
Once a month. And the second thing I was, and I forgot, is there's nothing to say that we couldn't do a carve out on the charter specifically, but only for hangars at the airport. So my point is, we still keep our 90 days, which would keep probably, you know, the lawyer a lot happier, but then we could do a carve out for the airport leases, maybe years or something. That's just an alternative instead of being, if it's changing the charter just to accommodate the airport, maybe, you know, we can still keep what we want to do for other stuff and then maybe.
saying that, hey, in a
Done that
year,
before,
I
Carl?
think so, but I don't know why we
That
couldn't.
would be some.
Huh?
And the attorney handles that?
Motors.
Yeah.
Didn't have to change it. Well,
Yeah,
that's something for the charter amendment.
Right, and if that's the recommendation of the committee,
It would have
then
to
it
be
needs
to
to
the
be a
city.
needs to be
I'm not looking for any more work. That's what you guys are thinking.
I think you just asked
what
for it.
you're saying is, hey, instead of saying, hey, you're out in 90 days, you're out in a year.
Yeah, or
Because,
what,
hey, we foresee a terminal coming, you're giving you a year's.
right,
Okay.
right. Or they can negotiate and give you, you know, they can give you money. I'm just trying to give you guys a little assurance. I wouldn't want to buy a building if I knew, like you said, that I'm out in 90 days. I'm not even sure I'd like to do it if I knew I was out in a year. But my point is that might be the compromise. I don't know what's.
Well, I think there's a difference between you buying the building, is just knowing, hey, I have this lease that, hey, I would be out in a short period of time, not that I'm, you know, going and buying it. I'm not saying that correctly. My apologies.
You know, you're doing fine. I'm just trying to find a way. That,
Yeah.
You know, that's outside the box, you know, if we got to change it, because I can't see him saying that, well, you got a 10-year and we can't get you out for 10 years.
Right.
I don't think
No.
the attorney will ever agree to that.
No, that's, yeah. Okay, so subject annually. So in the lease, it's saying your lease will be paid at the beginning of the year. I think most of us already pay on a monthly basis. That's how we were doing it in times past. So now I know there's a thing where, you know, rent's paid in advance or leases are paid on a monthly, and so they're wanting to have the full Monty up front in the beginning of the year, or is that just kind of an oversight?
No, that's how it's written and
Well, that's how it's written, but is that the intent?
yeah,
So everybody would have to come up with a full year's lease at the beginning of the year,
yeah, that's actually.
as opposed
how it's
to
been.
monthly, how it's right now.
I don't know, I don't have the history to know. I have seen other tenants annually just pay one.
Because they can
Year.
afford to probably. So do you
I'm not
pay
sure.
in advance or do you
Pay
pay monthly?
monthly.
You pay monthly?
Life.
Mike, do you pay month? Well, you probably pay in advance. I think I've heard you say that.
Yeah.
Brianna,
I'm yearly.
you're yearly?
So is that's my understanding, it's been the standard. Now, I think there's been some flexibility throughout the years.
But that might be the standard that the people are doing on their own, because the standard of the old leases, if we were to kind of look back at leases, we get it from somewhere, it's month to month.
So
I have an example of it right here.
And that's fine, cause
Yeah, yeah.
I can tell you that it's all over the place.
Okay.
There's no,
But is that in the leases or is that what people are just choosing to do?
I don't know.
Okay, I got
That's an
it.
individual assessment, I believe.
But here, this
Yeah.
lease is saying, no, you're gonna pay it
And
Yeah.
annually
annually.
at the first of the year.
So is there from this committee a desire to change this, or how do you want to proceed?
I'd like to change, I would like to step up and say, I'd like to have it monthly. Or if I want to pay in advance, it's fine.
So you.
No, you're gonna say the same thing I said.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, you recommend that, you make a motion for that?
Yes, if that's how you kind of get it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
You guys, any more questions? You want to vote on Mr. Shaw's recommendation? We have, are the aides? That we pay on a monthly basis, compared to,
And they can pay
and they can pay yearly on
if they,
the,
if they want.
as
That's an
the way it's, that's with an option.
Yeah.
And the aides, I'm sorry? If the aides, all of them, the nays, no's, no, unanimous, all aides, okay. Go with that. So the next one would be utilities.
Yeah, utilities, kind of after I said it at the last committee meeting, Mike kind of set me straight on basically what the city's saying, and basically means if you don't use the utilities, you don't need to pay for them, but if you're gonna get utilities out there, so that one can kind of just be struck from omitted.
The next one is the big one, the liability insurance.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
So essentially, so the city is insured, through a joint powers agency where multiple cities come together. We had, that's our insurance as a joint. We call it the RMA, Risk Management Agency. They consider airport as a high risk and has told us essentially that it's a 2 million. That they're recommending that a minimum of 2 million per occurrence and a 4 million general aggregate for all leases.
There's a problem with that. You cannot get insurance, 2 million per occurrence. A few insurance companies, a couple, well, maybe not even a few, a couple. That we've had people that have been dropped at their insurance company because of it, but I was able to get a 2 million, but it's only 1 million per incident.
Yeah, it's not a real
It's-
$2
it's
million
not a-
policy.
Yeah.
do you know if that's just for commercial aspects or for everything?
They're saying for all leases.
And is that does Visalia have this, they are the same type of a?
RMA? I don't know. if
Because
they're-
RMA, they're the same ones that insure the county, correct?
I'm not
It's
sure.
they can be different RMAs, it just depends on which city's part of this one. Not every city like surrounding us is
Because
our agency that we're with.
I would propose when you either look at the rates for the going land, also look at the rates for the going insurance, what people in these other airports are paying. I guarantee they're not paying $2 million.
So we did survey and it is different. So in this case, our insurance company is saying, hey, we recommend you do this. Now, the council can vote to not go with the insurance company's recommendation, but it just leaves us open for liability. So in this case, the insurance says we are asking every tenant to have a $2 million policy. And the council says, no, we want to keep it at 1 million. And if there were something to happen, the insurance will come back and say, hey, we told you 2 million, but you voted to go 1 million. That's cool. But now the city's on the hook for, it's something that was disastrous, right? A high dollar liability. That's essentially what the insurance has advised us is the city would then be liable for anything above the million. What they voted on to establish. But the insurance, because the insurance has said 2 million and the city says, no, we're going to do 1 million, then the city's on the hook for anything above.
But we have insurance on our hangar and our airplanes, so there's essentially a $2 million policy Because we've got 1 million on the hangar and 1 million on the airplane.
Yeah, but if you have your aircraft outside your hangar, your aircraft or your hangar insurance is not gonna cover your aircraft and vice versa.
The liability if somebody was to hurt themselves at that airplane and fall on the ground and split their head open, the hangar one won't cover that.
Correct.
So then that's
So it's like,
a
what's
series
the-
of bad.
What's the risk management of somebody getting hurt in the hangar? That's the thing. Right.
And isn't that based on kind of the foot traffic that's going on out there? Anybody that's coming out to your hangar, your animals, you probably have them under control. Don't do anything, but where that could start becoming an issue is intermixing businesses out there where you're starting to get more business traffic and more.
Well, yeah,
exposure.
on our side, we don't have the traffic that the commercial side.
But if you then start allowing business over there,
Right.
you will.
Right.
Yeah. And I can see how that could drive that, which is kind of, yeah, a little crazy.
So we're at a bit of a decision. One, I think a recommendation needs to be made, whatever that dollar amount, and then it needs to go to council to make a decision.
Right.
The RMA has provided their statement. We did do a survey, just to read it in the record. For example, City of Redland, 1 million, County of Ventura, 1 million, Napa, 1 million, Watsonville, 1 million, Hanford, 1 million. Visalia, we didn't get an answer from them. Tehachapi was 1 million.
Thanks for sharing that.
Tehachapi they did tell us that they were planning to increase to 2 million. Hanford said for large businesses, they understood that it automatically goes to 2 million for large businesses out at the airport, but
Yeah, this is just for my edification. What's the difference in the premium for a $1 million policy and a 2 million? Anybody?
Our insurance companies are telling
They
us,
won't write 'em.
why are you asking for 2 million? We'll
Yeah, what
drop
are you gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah, they
Or
are
we'll
trying
drop
to
it.
Find one.
Yeah, they told
It's just
Fred,
asking.
are you saying you want this? Cause we'll drop it.
Wow.
Even if you did have a $2 million policy, someone
Not
gets
gonna pay
hurt, they're gonna go after you for 2 million. They're gonna go for whatever the top.
Whatever the max
So if it's
is.
$1 million, they're gonna go after you for $1 million. If it's 2 million,
Yeah,
they're gonna go
right,
after
I
you
know.
for 2 million.
I know.
You got 6 million, they're gonna go after you for the 6 million.
But that's when you have a problem, if you have the 2 million, but it's only 1 million per incident, then what do you do for the difference?
Well, it's the same with that anyway. That's great. Millions, a lot of money. It sounds great unless you sue for 5. In which case, it doesn't matter. They get the million, then they take after your personal property other than anyone.
yeah, so
That was the recommendation of the group was 1 million.
Okay.
Standard with all the rest of.
And that would be
We
for,
motion for 1 million.
that'd be for hangar and aircraft.
Combined or individual? Or together?
And most of it's individually.
Okay, because I remember you said.
Individual.
Individual.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then they're $500,000 a piece then?
No.
No, no.
They're each $1 million.
Oh, okay. That is kind of 2 million kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just depends on where the incident
It
happens.
happens.
Fernando wants to say something.
Yeah.
Has anybody asked for an umbrella? Like an extra, like a 1 million per occurrence, but an umbrella of another million? Because there's a possibility, and don't put on me on this, but there's a chance that you can meet that 2 million threshold by having an umbrella on top of your 1 million per occurrence. That might be satisfactory to meet that 2 million criteria, but we would have to double check.
So the weird thing is that there's only really about 3 to 4 insurances that do aircraft. There's 1,000 brokers, but there's only 3 or 4 underwriters. And I don't know if they, and the hangar wise, they could be
You can
probably.
call
open
3, and if you call the 4th one, they say, you've already talked to so-and-so, you're out.
They know
I heard.
who you've talked to.
Can I interject as far as I know, the only city-owned hangar renter in the room? My policy isn't gonna cover the hangar. I'm not, anything I get to insure is just my airplane.
right,
Yeah.
that's where
And
the
it's used in operation.
That's where the city's what?
for city-owned hangar, right, we have the insurance policy.
Yeah, and what's that coverage?
I don't know what our.
Or self-insured.
Self-insured, right?
But what does that mean to me? I'm
And
like,
that means that they're gonna pay, just like my building, but if it burnt down, I don't get anything. So they just hope that they don't get too many claims. A pool though, then we also invest in food, right?
so if somebody bumped their head and hurt themselves at the city-owned hangar, they could in theory sue for $1 billion.
I'm not sure.
I'm not
I'm not
sure
sure
about
how
that. I'll
it's,
have to look at that, and get clarification on that, but I'm just gonna go with what Mrs. Groves did, recommendation for $1 million. Anybody want to second that? Cause I'm gonna go for the well, second. Okay, I'm gonna vote. All the ayes, and all the nays.
Who was the second?
Elizabeth Maria. Oh, does it
Does it need to be one of them that are,
Yeah, I think everyone is here, right? You're the only alternate that we had.
Fred is not.
Fred,
So you're fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
That'll work.
that's a recommendation, 1 million. And we'll put that, clarification on that.
Can I ask who the insurance company is that says it has to be $2 million per occurrence?
it's our risk management agency. It's a huge long.
That's-
because I'll give you the acronym, which is even long. CSJVRMA.
Don't bother, I read out on
Yeah,
the.
it means nothing to me.
It's a huge name.
Recommendation, it's not saying that the insurance company is saying we have to do.
But apparently the city is taking that recommendation as a mandate.
Okay.
Well, let's see, absolutely, because, the alternative. And what the council is gonna have to discuss is. If we don't follow what the insurance company is telling us to follow, then our rates go up.
Yeah, but we're self-insured, so do we charge ourselves more?
So, no, for example, like, so we have I forget the terminology, let's say in occurrence.
Yeah, we have a pool, right?
We pay the first 25,000, right? That the initial deposit. We're on the hook for the first 25,000.
Gotcha.
And then the insurance pool covers the rest. But if we don't
Yeah.
follow their
they
rules,
cover it.
then that 25,000 becomes 100,000.
Mhm.
So then the city's on the hook for the first 100,000. So that's the alternative by not following their.
I'm listening. You know, I got it. I'm listening.
Okay. So that's what the council ultimately will have to decide. And they noted that essentially they put in writing failure to properly transfer risk, which would be going with the $2 million policy would increase our limit to 200,000.
Right, but only in case of an occurrence, right?
Right.
But still, it's like they're raising our rates for not raising rates on the other people.
Right.
I get it. I know. And $1 million is nothing anymore. That's to say.
Well, let's go to the next one, improvement of land.
Yeah, so just kind of like part of the cleanup of the lease was improvement of landing area of the airport. So are they talking about the runway or are they just talking about the land area around? So what it says here, improvements of land area, city reserves a right to further develop or improve the landing area of the airport as it sees fit, regardless of desires, views of the leasing without interference or hindrance.
Yeah.
So is the landing area the runway or is so what's landing area? Or should it be the land area being what's around your lease property, the rest of your land, the farming acreage, the parking lot for the Forest Service? And then that kind of also ties into 19, maintenance of landing area. City reserves a right to maintain and keep and repair the landing area of the airport and all publicly owned facilities of the airport together with the right and direct. And it refers to the runway. So what is the landing area?
We can get clarification, but my assumption is it's the runway and possibly the taxiway.
But you already say that here in 19.
I think what we're trying to say in 19, if I'm reading this from my point of view, is the city reserves the right to maintain the runway, right?
Well, it says here, the city together with the right to direct and control all activities of the leases in regard to this providing The
Right.
city shall keep and maintain in a safe operable condition the taxiways, runways,
So the
and
land,
landing light.
yeah.
So I think the
again,
land area, it shouldn't be a landing area, it should be just the regular land around it.
I'm not sure.
That's what
I'll
I'm-
ask for
yeah.
clarification.
When they were,
Well,
I would argue it in court.
I mean, landing is I mean, that's
It's
a pretty,
movement area.
that's a big, to me, I think what the city is trying to say here is landing area, meaning the specific landing areas of where the airplane or the helo lands, but not, I mean, you can't, I mean, for emergency purposes, you put land, I mean, you have an emergency, you're gonna land anyway. But in regards to this, it's pretty, to me, I interpret this as landing in specific areas where it's always a common no. You don't see it like that?
I think what they're striving for, and what they need to tell us is, we're just basically saying, hey, we're gonna maintain the land around the leased property, not the tax. I don't know if anybody can articulate it.
I'm thinking that the term landing refers to aircraft operations.
Well, landing area thinks of the terms of the runway, or, you know, there's nothing that says you can't land on the taxiway, but I don't, is that what they're?
I think this is lawyer
This is, yeah,
talk. I can add.
yeah, we'll get clarification on this.
And hopefully the attorney understands what is a runway,
Right,
but that you can still, you know.
all right, and a taxiway.
And this is a holdout from leases 30 years ago.
I'm reading, it says, the city has the right to maintain and keep and repair the landing area of the airport and all publicly owned facilities of it, together with the right to direct and control all activities of the lease within the regard to right. It sounds like it's saying that they get to do anything they want to do. It's all public facilities, and the airport is a public facility. So, I mean, I think we're splitting hairs here. I think they're saying, I'm sorry. Well, if you stop right there, you're talking about landing there, I would agree with you. If they didn't add all publicly owned facilities airport, that's everything. That's everything.
Yeah.
Period, which is as well as they should be, because it's like, well, we can do that, but we can't mow the lawn. An example is we lease out the dirt around there and we grow crops on it, stuff like that, you know. In your interpretation, could we lease it out, you know, if we don't specifically say that? And again, so it looks to me like it's pretty all encompassing right here. I'm fine with the language, but do you have an issue with the language?
Yeah, I'm just confused if they're talking about the runway or
Well, my thing is,
the grassy part, you know, they're supposed to maintain that. Is
All publicly owned facilities.
well, my thing is like, that's just what the city should do. It shouldn't have to be at the lease.
I know, it seems to me redundant too.
Yeah.
But is that saying that the city's responsible for that area? Or is
Put
not-
it in there,
Yeah, but it's not,
then
that's not.
Come back and it needs to be put in.
Maybe lawyer definition is my guess.
Could it be a typo?
I don't think so.
No,
I guess.
I hear what you're saying, sir, and I believe that if we put nothing in here, then we run the risk of, you know, well, it should have been put in here, but since it's in here, I think the language is, to me, is suffice, but it's just, you know, it's lawyered up.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit, above my pay, you know.
Fair enough.
But, you know, landing area, it to me would mean the landing area, in general. But in retrospect, public owned facilities of the airport together with the right to direct and control, that means the whole property as a whole. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and if you want some clarification, I can get clarification on that, just to be specific on that one wording, landing.
And because we're trying to clean up this whole thing, that
Sure.
was just part of that, right? It's not,
Sure.
it's just asking for cleanup.
So do you wanna make a motion to get clarification on that one, or?
Yeah, I'd like to make
Okay, motion, Mr.
motion to get it.
Shaw, and a second? Any second? Okay, sir, all the ayes? Yays, okay. All the nays? Okay, then we'll get clarification on that one too.
And then number 30, quiet possession, I think we kind of talked about that to the bit where it is a lease rent. What is it? What are we? Now, those were the items that I had submitted that I didn't see that they were addressed now with, and I'll just say this new one that's proposed, I've got a bunch of other stuff about it too. So, but that was my portion, and I'll shut up and let everybody pick up from there.
Anybody have any questions on that one?
30?
On number 3.
I think it's just saying as long as you follow the rules, they can't hassle you. Is that what it is? Is that what I'm reading here? Is that what that says?
Pretty much.
Not against.
I'm gonna ask you, because you've been doing pretty good with the lawyers, but you think that, what's that says?
Position, and any other positions that the units seek.
Was it more, Chris, the use of rent
Yes, sir.
and lease back and
Yeah.
forth throughout the document?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
That's
anything up
clear.
against, nothing up against like quiet possession, like.
So I think what we're gonna do is just ask attorney to make it a little bit more
Down for us.
consistent, right? It's lease, let's just stay with lease whenever possible.
Or month to month, lease, whatever they want to do,
Right.
you know, or distinguish between, define, and they can put a definition in there, so you can put 2 sentences.
And I see that some of this stuff is split in hairs. It's just cleaning it up.
No, I think it's a good idea. And that being said, I don't know if I can bring this little last thing up, and as I was reading this section 68, I mean, this very elaborate way, we talked earlier about how to come to a value in the leases. Well, if you read this in its most literal sense, my God, it's, you've got to hire appraisers, and if you don't agree with it, I mean, if you read this, the council can't change the lease rate. So this needs to be taken out of here too.
I think that's for selling a hangar.
Okay, it says in event of failure to agree upon the market value of the improvements within 30 days. Yeah, determination shall be, I'm sorry, you're right. Shall be 2 appraisers appointed by.
Sell that.
Yeah, that's if you do it at adverse.
Right,
possession.
at first, people.
Again, that's my bad. In the event of failure to agree upon market value, increase. I still think that's that is awfully convoluted, and you should probably, streamline that. Because you're gonna hire appraisers, and if the 2 appraisers don't, then the 3rd appraiser, and then it's like, wow.
How it's written is,
What are you saying this is, Brian?
this is when the lease terminate, I want to sell you my hangar. Right, so I want to sell you my hangar, I tell the city, we agree on a price, the city has the right to pay that price to buy my hangar, first refusal. If the city does not agree, I sell you my hangar for the agreed upon price.
No, that's not what this is.
That's not how I take this.
That's probably an aspect. This is if
This is
the
like
involuntary conversion, basically, that,
involuntary.
they say, hey, we want your hangar.
Yeah, we discussed this earlier. Hey, we're gonna use this land to build a terminal.
Right.
Okay, so we're taking your property. So here is how we're gonna, that's where that was.
I think that language is the equivalent of an arbitration clause in
Probably
contract.
so.
Instead of going to court and having a bloody lawsuit to decide how much it's worth. These guys will decide for a lot less money.
Yeah, I guess. It's still be a lot of money, but if you file, what I was trying to do, maybe I'm conflating the two. If to for the council to be able to set a rate less than, what the FAA says or whatever else, then the council needs to put some latitude in there that says we can set the rate as we.
The FAA doesn't settle this.
I know, but the FAA says you can't give it away.
No,
And so the question is, define give it away.
but the FAA says you have to sell it at market value. For example, my T hangar in Fresno County is $26 a month for lease. I pay
Yeah.
76. Right, so there is a standard rate that you can go look and see what people are paying for hangars, right? 11 cents in Tehachapi.
No, he's talking about selling.
Yes.
Okay,
But I mean, those things are out there. Like somebody can come and appraise your hangar for insurance purposes.
No, but-
It's not a rocket
We were
science.
also talking, and we were talking about setting the rates, and it sounds like you can't even set the rates at a lower rate than that.
Setting the rates for the land lease,
Yes.
selling the hangar.
I'm not talking about selling, then setting the rates. Again, all right, again, I'll reread this again. I'm just trying to give it some latitude to
It's
do things.
complex.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
It's very,
I'm new to this, so bear with me.
It isn't funny.
I'm
I
doing great.
apologize for being
You're
late.
great.
This is, anyway, talk about, arbitrations with, lawyers and stuff. Okay, I'll get you to that. It's new to me, so bear with me, please. I don't wanna, I wanna be fair and with the Porterville Municipal Court, Airport, and I wanna to collaborate. I want us to work together. I want you to be happy. I want the city but I'm not gonna put the city on the hook, and I don't wanna put you on the hook. So we need to, I wanna work together with this, and I think with some of the recommendations, we're working on the 1 million insurance thing. We voted on that, just to keep you up to date. So we're gonna bring that back and hopefully get something more clear on that. There was another issue with the rent and lease recommendation for the standard 20-10-10 on the ground lease also with that and Burbage. And the lease map, an updated lease map that you were requesting. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm just trying to follow you. Are you recapping?
Yeah, I'm recapping.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to bring Mr.
Oh,
And the break,
On the competitive
that's
rates.
gonna be done at a little different sizing, that's our.
We're trying to get the lease approval, but not the rate approval yet.
Yeah.
That's two different things. The lease up there.
Let me get some clarification on the rent and the lease approvals. And stuff. The utilities, I think Mr. Shaw cleared it, pretty much on that aspect. So you're not using it, so we're down to the last one with which is the quiet possession, so. If you have any insight on any of developments of insurance and stuff, I would like to.
we discussed insurance, yeah, so you have.
Yeah, I mean, I can share with the group what I got, right? So for example, my current insurance holder, right, which I believe is Star Insurance, I gave you guys the policy.
Yeah.
I called them about the $2 million thing, they will drop me. Right. I found somebody who will give me the 2 million, but it's 3 times the rate, so I go from 400 to 50. So in line with the mayor's vision to keep the airport competitive, right, that this is how we end up accidentally killing airports.
Right.
The rates are already high. Now the insurance requirement. In my federal service, we call it gold plating, right? So you can have an insurance policy, but you can choose a gold plate insurance policy for people who can afford it. But if you make everybody get a gold plate insurance policy, you're bankrupting people pretty quickly, right? I don't have a $5 million business jet. It's a $30,000 airplane and a $5,000 hangar. So that's where is the balance of, to own a $30,000 airplane and a $5,000 hangar. I'm having to dish out a significant percent of that. That's before I even fly it an hour. That's just to own it and have it fit at the airport. So that's a conundrum. I think there is space here because if we differentiate commercial operations from private operations, if we build an airport that has a private operations section and we manage the risks associated with private airplanes and separate it from commercial airplanes in commercial operations where you would require a $2 or $5 million insurance policy and a different agreement for that kind of business, right? You're talking about students being in that area, you're talking about work being done in that area, having a customer base in that area, the risks are different.
Higher traffic.
Higher traffic.
Higher traffic you can't control.
A lot more operation, right? Cutting, machining, construction.
Or just people walking in. Like I said, people that comes to his hangar, he has them like leash.
In my T hangar, there will rarely be anybody outside of myself, but maybe the guys who walk down there to see what I'm doing in my airplane. Whereas in his hangar, there might be all his customers will be through there, right? The skydiving operation will have all their customers go through there. So there's a difference between what happens and what the risks are and what is a rational thing for the city to ask for protection from. For my airplane, it would be difficult to cause $1 million in damage outside of medical. If there's liability, you could get somebody hurt in the airplane. But that likely won't happen in my hangar. It's going to happen someplace off airport. That's where the risk is while you're operating.
Thank you for that insight, sir. I appreciate that. I will look into it. After my recap, is there any other questions and concerns that we want to bring up?
Is that regarding what I had proposed from last meeting or moving forward on what we're seeing in today's
I wasn't here the last meeting, so I wouldn't have to.
So we'll go, what's
follow back
before,
on,
so here's a draft agreement,
Yeah.
and there's been some comments and you voted on some things for some changes, but yeah, well, what's before the committee is this draft.
That's what I
agreement.
meant. Is that we're at this stage now? We're gonna talk about that?
Yes.
Okay.
There's two more recommendations
Okay.
that we do.
Okay.
Deleting, item 31. Since there's the right of refusal and that's now been placed throughout the document, Bill 31 is not appropriate.
32 replaces it.
32,
Yeah.
that's the recommendation.
Okay.
Turn with 31. And do we want to speak on 17? We talked about removing language.
The non-determination.
I just wrote down that we were gonna remove language, but I'll just say refocusing. Yeah, no doubt wrong with it.
I think we went over that.
Yeah, I think it was 8.
Easement of land area.
Actually, it was right here in the event of a breach of the above non-screening, the covenant city shall have the right to terminate this lease and re-enter in possession.
It's the one that's highlighted. That area that's highlighted, under 17.
So what the attorney's saying is the charter 68 only applies if the city were to terminate the lease due to needing the space for city use, not for a default. It is a policy decision as to what the remedy should be in the even of defaults and how the personal property building.
So should this have the same language that we talked about where somebody comes in and estimates it? And then the city wants it, then that person is made to provide that.
I was wondering if you could just say shall be bound by with finding arbitration or something. I mean, this is a very elaborate, it's probably pretty good, but it seems really kind of archaic.
Yeah, because it makes me feel like, oh, we made a mistake. We leased you bad land. And we're sorry you spent all this money building your hangar, but now we got to take it back. That's what it reads to me like. If
It's purposely vague. It says, you know, for city use, define city use. I can say anything city use. Subjective.
Yeah, that's what we kind of went over earlier.
Mm.
Yeah, but 68.
yes.
The part where it says 68 only applies if this, I don't know that you can really do that. If it's charter, maybe I don't think you can decide to apply it and not apply it. I think see, if it's in the charter, it's in the charter, baby.
And that's the carve out you were gonna try to do.
We're gonna try to fix, yeah.
Well, that
It's
means,
not one of the ones we're supposed to fix. That's the first I've heard of it.
I mean, to that point, the committee needs to take a vote if they want to amend chapter 68.
No, we're not doing nothing until the council tells us what to do. I'm
Well, I
not,
mean, that's going to be a recommendation. I don't think that
I'm not gonna make it. I got enough.
you're
for
not a voting member, so so it's okay, but the committee is wanting to
Are you
change.
gonna make me more work? Are you gonna suggest they make me more work? Is that what you're suggesting?
You're getting paid well to be the chair.
I don't even get water in that committee.
But the themes we're trying to stick to, I mean, there's a madness to this, right? So the mayor's vision is to bring business to Porterville to make things stable.
Well-
I think what we want to do is make things very comfortable for people to come and invest in the airport, the rates to be competitive, for them to be very assured that the investment is going to be
Of course.
executed as they foresee it. Come to Porterville, we're open for business. We will support you. We'll do nothing to under. Right. And I think that there's a certain level of discomfort from reading the first version of this draft because it made us feel like there was something amiss.
And there's still some leftovers.
Yeah, there's still some leftover where it's, you know, somebody in a position of power, and we're happy that you guys are here now, but it might be somebody different sitting in that chair 10 years from now when the original tree's gone.
That's
The only,
my concern.
the only protection we have is what's written in the contract.
Right.
And if
their kid who now owns the hangar,
Correct.
right? And it's their livelihood. and
Oh,
we wanna
like,
make sure.
if I can interject, that we went through the beginning of the year. And that was a scary moment for everybody, because that was thrown on us like hot potatoes, and it was like, what? So I don't want that same event to happen, future generations of who's there now. And it's just not the mayor's, vision, it's the council's vision. And it's the city manager's vision that we want to bring business back into. And we want that to be a focal point and a destination point. That's what we want. I want that. As long as I'm alive, and I'm here to, hopefully convey that to who I have to make sure that it, makes everybody and, happy with on your end and city's end, and no one's liable for anything. That's where I want to go with all this. So with that.
To get there, I think there needs to be some consideration for looking at this section of the charter.
Don't keep volunteering.
Well, I mean, that ultimately it is, because if the language doesn't change, it's in the charter.
It doesn't mean
It's the
anything.
rule of law.
I want to, if I might, piggyback on your thing. That was that was the turnover point when the old guard, that was them playing their little game that they've been playing for 50 years. And that was the gauntlet that was thrown down. And the fact that we're having this meeting at all today, and even considering it, shows you how far we came in a short period of time. They were digging their feet in, and they came up with this BS appraisal. It was in the moon based on stuff down here. I don't know where they got those numbers. You could do things in dartboard and got more accurate numbers than that. But my point is, it was a battle to disentrench those people. So, I mean, I'm happy that we're trying to do this at all, because it had these councilmen not came on, I'm telling you, we wouldn't even have this discussion. You wouldn't even be having any input of this deal. So I think this is good.
So the next one is,
What do you guys recommend? I mean, we have a recommendation. If you want to, what you guys want us to go into the.
No, that's something you're gonna have to do, because the way that, if I might,
Well, it needs to be a recommendation. The committee needs to decide
Yeah.
if the council should consider this as a charter.
you can recommend to the council that they tell us to do it.
Right, that's the only way.
That can be done by the next meeting.
Can we look at the charters for the next meeting?
Well, the only part I think is relevant is this section 68. You can have a copy of the charter, but it talks more about, I don't think, is there anything else really relevant?
No, in regards to the charter 68, and you can look it up online, the city's charter is on there.
It's in the packet.
And in the packet.
You read it?
What kind of wording are we looking to try to impose?
All of this.
90 days to a year.
I would say.
I think that's
Um,
also, there's also other lease agreements that the city has, that it's not just a particular.
Yeah, it disregards all. So maybe what you're saying, a carve out or some specific language regarding airport leases, you may have more success for that.
Yeah.
Because this is the
broad.
all
Pretty
leases,
vague.
and how it's
Pretty
written.
vague.
You may have more success, changing this or to give a specific notation to airport.
But you're gonna have to lobby for it, the charter amendments at the election, because like the city manager says, we can suggest them, we can put them on the ballot, but if you guys don't make your case, I think this very one failed last time
Yeah,
because people didn't understand it. So,
they call it the terminology. where
Yes.
People lost interest, but
Right.
if this is what you want, if we need to vote on it on a grander scale, you need to input your concerns and very clearly. And that way, it can get passed and it can change.
Because in this document, it comments that the FAA ensures that airport properties are leased at a reduced rate to ensure the viability of aviation, right? That's why you can park an airplane cheaper than an RV or a collection of cars.
but if our charter doesn't say that, it doesn't, I mean, that trumps, but then the charter's
It's
next.
federal.
Yeah, that trumps.
Yeah.
And but if you don't give the council latitude to do that by the charter, then You know, it says something else.
And it says that the city cannot.
Yeah, I got
That's
you.
one of the things where actually got in trouble. They were storing vehicles in the airport.
So we can't store vehicles at the airport?
Well, you can, as long as it's approved from the FAA.
You gotta get approval from the FAA. Not be storing a vehicle in an airplane that should be rented to it.
No, what they're saying is if we're gonna give a subsidy to the airport for airport usage, you better damn well use it for.
And that's where you can charge fair market value, not the artificially low aviation price. So actually, so that's the splitter for section 68.
Yeah, I get it.
Otherwise, everybody's. You're back.
No, I get it. But again, if the charter says that you're tied to this elaborate thing, then basically, that's great. We can get past the FAA. But you're gonna have to argue with that this policy is punitive to the intent of the FAA. I don't know if you're gonna be able to.
But if you're in violation of the FAA policy, then you're gonna get.
Who decides it's in violation? Someone has to file a lawsuit.
The FAA does, yeah, I know. So there is a list of, you can go look the list up. There are cities on the FAA bad boy list. And they come out and they give you 10 years to fix your problems. And then your federal grants become. authorized to do that.
I don't think we're doing that. I'm just trying to say
I
that
don't think we're doing that.
I'm being myopic and saying, okay, well, listen, just so someone can't come back later and say, well, yeah, you're right. You can do it with the FAA and everything, but your charter says you can't. Now you got to come, and I just like to fix it. And we're gonna fix it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think so.
We have a recommendation.
We'd like to make a recommendation. We can volunteer to provide some language that can be a starting point.
Okay. So Donnie, any second?
I'll second it.
I have a vote.
I-
Okay, ayes.
Be a clarification, maybe a recommendation, that the city council consider amending charter or chapter 68, because first off, the council needs to vote on it. And because they made it specific on which amendments they're willing to look at. So I think we need to get their approval. And then there'll be a whole back and forth, long period of time into the language part that we haven't even started on the other one.
And here's the problem, and if I may interject.
We're getting started. This is the beginning stages, but what
Yeah,
Mr. City
so-
Manager is saying, it's gonna be a process, but we have to start somewhere. It has to. There's no if, ways or about it. Yes. Go ahead. sir.
No, I would hope, because look, make it really easy, my job is that the city council told me what they wanted. We can ask them to do this, but I hope that either you provide some language that you like, or they provide me some language back. I don't want to do it, because the reality, first of all, I'm not a lawyer. Second of all, I don't want to run afoul of anybody's sensibilities. I would love it if you could say, listen, what is your guys' idea? Hey, if you give us a year instead of 90 days, we're happy. Is that what I'm hearing here? Or is you want, and suggest that, or two options to the city council, and then let the city council tell me, Mr. Shelton, we would like something along these lines. And then I can take it from there. And instead of then doing it and then taking it back, we can do it all in one fell swoop. I think we're on this next agenda. Right?
Yeah, so that what I would like to see and what I was trying to get at is just a set of recommendations that will be in a staff report. The airport committee recommends $1 million policy, blah, 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 and the council consider amending chapter 68.
That could say what?
My understanding is the group, maybe it's clarification. I think you'll have more success having a carve out for the airport.
Or what, how long? How long do you guys feel comfortable? 6 months, 9 months, a year, 30 years?
Terminate lease.
That's what they're saying. Instead of giving you 90 days, you could have a 20-year lease, but they can keep this out 90 days.
Yeah.
If they really wanted to.
It's based on the charter.
It's based on the charter.
Yeah, so they're asking, hey, do we want to say, can you maybe look at it for a year?
Yeah, instead of
90 days?
I think that's not too unreasonable. I
Well,
think that's
I don't think that's reasonable, but I'm gonna be devil's advocate. Let's just say, well, we're gonna give you a year, but what if the tenant starts messing everything up? But I think there should be some type of language.
I think it's
where-
already in there. It says you have to comply with it. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to read it. Because I just wanted to make sure that, because with any renters, not the airport, but, You're gonna try to evict somebody, sometimes these people destroy the house before they even get out.
See, and
That's my prevention.
and I said, that has to do with that section. It said, in the event of any of the above non-discriminatory shall have, wait, no, there's that one,
That's it.
what was it, 30, where it was talked about the quiet use?
Yeah, so-
I think that's what that says, is it says, if you follow all the rules, notwithstanding in the provision of lease, city covenants that leasing, city covenants, which means the rules of the city, that leasing on paying the rent and performing the covenants herein contained, which means following the rules, shall be able to enjoy the use of his, you can't. So basically it's alluding to the covenants, which I assume are in it.
That's basically what I was just trying to get at.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Okay,
It says breach by lease, so. Yeah.
so would a year be suffice? Is that what the committee recommended?
No, I agree.
More appropriate?
Yeah.
It's hard to.
Unless I get cold feet right now, I say a year, yeah. Unless I get cold feet, like, well, no, maybe, a year. Yeah, but yeah, a
I
year.
don't think you get any more than a year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll get that, we'll find out. I mean, the lawyer's not gonna like it, I can assure you.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that one.
But there's still mechanisms. I mean, you can still negotiate. You guys, listen, you guys got it for a year, make your payments. Hey, but you know what? If you'll get out in 6 months, we'll give you some money back, and again, that's up to you, but at least it gives the latitude for a negotiation,
Okay, so we're clear on that one. Well, I guess we're almost to the end. Anybody else?
I guess it'd be the start of the new,
Just be the start of the new.
draft. This was just everything that was in the previous, draft from both.
That's what I get for not coming to the last meeting. This is where we at now, Mr. King.
That was the lease was the only item on the agenda. So you could just move to other matters if someone has.
You guys have any other what about you, sir? I remember Ben-
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's.
I apparently this is probably where I'm waiting for, my land lease so that I can start my project.
Okay.
So it's probably why Rich invited me.
Okay,
All right. It's one good project, but we haven't got to,
all right.
we haven't got this figured out.
So we're gonna move on to the next order of communications. Yes, other matters or do you have?
No, we're here.
We're still working on a lease.
We're working, now we're talking about
The
what
current.
the current one that was sent to us about, hey, what do you think? What do you got?
Okay. What you guys got?
What do you got? What do you think? What do you get?
Okay, so I see, in my notes here, under term of this lease, unless I'm missing it here, I just found it today. Nothing states that there will be allowed, an extension. Am I not seeing that correctly? Where, hey, if
Yeah, you like to make the recommendation that it's 20, 10, 10.
Okay.
We did that.
That's where we did that.
no, what I'm getting at is,
Six at the top of it.
bear with me. The extension, there you go. I don't see an offer of an extension of your lease here.
Oh, yeah. So to that point, the committee had brought this up in your other notes, and so we're gonna come back and revise that section to have that standard 20 and then the 10. It's my understanding, right? For renewals, so it'll be specific. So you have the 20, the standard ground lease agreement is a 20-year, and then you have or
10 options.
two 10
options.
10-year renewal options.
So what you're asking is you want an additional, an extension?
So like, for instance, if my lease says, hey, it's 20 years terms, I have the option to
Extend.
for 20
Yeah.
years.
So, yeah, so we will come back with a new version of this that will have that language in.
Okay. Is that what you recommend, sir? That's your recommendation on that?
That they're, yeah, I didn't catch that somehow.
Just that one? But anyway, okay, the next one?
That's what I was saying, I didn't catch it, so.
Is there gonna be a renegotiation of the price? Or the 20-year extension, the same terms.
Who invited you?
Yeah, the renegotiation would be after the 20.
Mr. Chuck?
Yeah, I'm still. Anybody else?
No, I don't know. That's good.
We're not gonna.
No, I think
we're
we've
not
gone
gonna
over
have
to some of
problems.
the stuff that we've already.
Great, you're doing.
So Brianna, I think it was Brianna brought it up about not happy with first right of refusal. That's.
Well, no, one of the items we were asking to be removed because of the first right of refusal is now written.
We're, to that point, we're removing 31 and it's been replaced with 32. Now we have.
Yeah, now there's a transaction.
Right.
Is that what you're referring to? I'm not sure what you're referring to, Chris.
31 is deleted, 32 replaces it. So the transition now will be you find somebody to buy your hanger. Once that transaction is defined.
And then-
The option.
Yeah, I think the full right of refusal. So did you guys say get rid of 32?
No.
No, I don't.
Oh, I'm making a motion to get rid of 32.
You don't like it?
I don't like it.
You don't like what part of it? Just right, first right?
Yeah, that kind of forces you to say, hey, if you wanted to sell that hangar to this gentleman here, the city can come in and say, what's his offer? Okay, his offer's, a $5,000 city, like, okay, we'll take it. And he doesn't have the opportunity to buy it. Because this is how I look at it. Airplane owners are not wealthy to the chagrin of other people. And one of the ways to kind of sweeten the pot is, hey, I'm going to purchase this hangar, and providing everything goes well, it's going to go up in value. And so I like to have the opportunity to,
I get you.
I see what you're saying, but before you sell, wouldn't you already have an appraiser appraised? And
Not
what you-
not necessarily.
Not necessarily, no.
But you'll get your money regardless, because
Yeah, you might. But I think,
and go ahead, Miles, sorry.
I think what he's kind of saying.
But I also have
I
more
might
to
not
that.
want, I want this person on it.
Yeah.
Other than the city.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I don't have a choice if the city's willing to pay that money.
And the other thing is,
Yes, but this is the way the FAA wrote it, so that they have some control of how the airport is transitioned over time.
the FAA suggests how the city or the sponsor can control the airport over time
20 to 30 years.
to hope, to let it continue self-sustaining. But one of the other things with that is now the sponsor owns that hangar. And so the sponsor could say, hey, we're going to charge you $5,000 a month to put your airplane in here.
Well, typically why they do it is because that's gonna become a taxiway or a runway extension or something drastic. So what this is how you, the airplane owner, doesn't lose everything. You get fair market value for your airport, or your hangar. And over time, the city is able to execute that
Continue.
runway extension
Continue.
or that next phase of without
Essentially,
harming anybody.
it's essentially putting eminent domain law in force of the contract.
Yeah, but it says during the lease, during the term of the lease as well. So that's saying at any time,
Yes, if you choose to sell it
at any
at
time.
any time.
Yeah.
Yes, but you choose to sell it, so you have a choice of.
But you don't have a choice of who buys it.
And so
Because the city can come in and
It's
buy it.
And
yes,
undercut.
they could, but you get your money. The city doesn't determine the value. There's a transaction agreed upon. They have the opportunity to purchase it within 30 days. If they decline it, your deal goes through with the original purchase.
I mean, I don't like the first right on that either.
And I also look at it from another standpoint, back to what I was saying is renting it for $5,000. Who's gonna put or put an airplane in there when it's rented? So,
I mean, here's the thing we face, guys, is if we don't put this in there, the other option is they can just take it. And you get nothing.
Well,
And they execute
But-
the,
neither one of those sorry.
yeah, it's almost less, what is the lesser evil, right? You allow the city to manage it over time, and in 30 years, you get out of your hangar and that becomes a taxiway or a runway extension. Right, and you got your money and you just have the bad feel, they go, well, my hangar used to be out there in the middle of the runway, which is now the middle of the runway. Or you could face just having them possess it, you end up with nothing in return for your investment.
Wouldn't that be more like on a grander scale of a airport that's really improving and building and?
I mean, if we do this right, in 30 years, Porterville is that airport. But that's what we did.
Well, the city still retains the right on about absolute autonomy. I mean, but we're here to work with what we have, and the FAA is pretty much the driving force of everything. But I'm here willing to work and see what we can hash out so we can work and get things done so we can have that destination in 30 years, because I'm not gonna be here in 30 years. And I don't want somebody else that once I'm not, not elected official anymore to come in and just put the teeth that they had before and you have no voice.
You also risk the chance of not having general aviation there too.
True that. But that's the risk.
Or any aviation.
aviation.
Even on the quote business side, you now own that hangar, and so what could be affordable for somebody to have a business and operation if the city's charging, large numbers for now what would become rent. You gotta be like, man, I can't crack that nut.
But what I'm hearing is two things. I want to be able to control when I sell it. Like say your son gets over of age and he wants to buy it. I want to be able to sell it to him where I want him to have it. And I don't want to get in a bidding contest with what we call the big chip bully, which is the city. It doesn't matter if you say 5 and they say 10 and they say 10 or 15, so they're gonna outbid you. But that all being said, exactly what the chairman was saying, is you got a 1 year, you got a 90-day out now, where basically they can do it and we're gonna take it through a year. So the city's gonna get it in a year anyway. You're gonna slow them down, but they're gonna, they're gonna get it in a year anyway if they want it. I don't know that it really potato, whether it's in there or not, they want first refusal, fine, just jack the price up until they don't feel bad about them just taking it from you or whatever. And if not, but my point is, if you think you're going to stop anything, you'll stop it for a year, but that's all you're going to stop it for. And that's only if we get the charter amendment. You see what I'm saying? So I've got mixed emotions about it. I don't know that you can really, through this, force away other than maybe just delaying the amendment.
Having the refusal versus the previous language that we had is way.
I mean, it's better, yes. But it's dealing with government, guys, that's the thing, right? It's not.
And this gentleman's point here, whereas if you find them being punitive, let's say they do take it and then they get 5,000, basically nobody can rent it. Well, now the argument, you have an argument for, where they're being predatory in terms of their rent. So you could always have recourse that way, I suppose,
I understand that. I'm just now confused what your point is.
Well, there isn't. It's a matter of lesser evils, and I don't know that it really matters. Again, yes, you could say I don't have to give it. I'm going to sell it to them, and they'll be able to buy it for less money, and they'll be able to keep it for a year if the city really wants it. At that for that lower rate. That's all you're going to really accomplish.
Well, why would this?
I think we're off storage here.
Yeah.
What he's talking about is first refusal, right? So the city not to buy it,
Right.
he sells it to somebody else, they get a 20 and business continues.
Yeah.
Or the city elects to buy it because they plan on demolishing it and it's going to become the new phase of the airport
Well,
expansion.
you presume that. I don't presume. I presume it's like maybe they just wanted it.
This is just how it happens.
Okay.
This is how airports evolve, right? So LAX went to new runway. It's got to come into the side of the existing west side. They knock down everything on the west side. They build a second runway, and then the hangars move another quarter mile that way. And the airport spreads. Now it's got 4 runways instead of 1 runway. If you go look at LAX, 4 runways.
Well, that in my mind is a more righteous use of content. What I'm
That's
saying,
different than what I'm saying.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
My saying is on the sale. Yours is if the sponsor needs that
It's
to do what if the sponsor needs that to do what they need to do,
If they-
then they're going to say, hey,
we give you a year now to get out. Because we're gonna expand the
If
road.
they do it right, before the expansion comes, 10 years before, the city's gonna know it's coming and they're gonna buy the hangar from you. And it's gonna sit there like for 10 years in preparation for the space.
And is that a smart thing to do?
That's
That's-
what-
that's-
that's what
that's
government
what they do.
do.
Is that a smart thing to do when
That's-
when you already have, and
That's-
we're saying, hey, get out of here in 90 days?
No,
We're asking to get out.
It's not in 90 days. It's in right of first refusal, 10 years, right? They do it because they know in
It's coming
2050,
within-
we're gonna have a runway expansion. We have to move everybody. And this is part of having a long-term an airport plan, right? We know that we need to get everybody off of this taxiway, moved over to the other side of the airport. So you would sell your property to the city, you would get your money, and then go get a lot on the other side where the expansion is.
But doesn't Charter 68 take care of that?
Well,
That's
Charter
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Charter 68 says hey, we're trying to give them more time to do it. I think what you're arguing here is that I don't want to sell it to the city. And there's an interesting angle because
If you use Charter 68 to plan and manage the airport, you will destroy the aviation.
I'm talking about it, the 1 year versus the 90 day. What I'm getting at, he wants to sell it to his son for a cheaper price, and he doesn't want the city saying, I'm gonna match his price, so I get it. And you're like, no, I want my son to have it. The thing about it is that you could do that, that'll work, and that'll give his son a year before the city says, okay, now, a year later, I'll make sure, or now as soon as it is completed, they can say, we're gonna get it in a year. Now that brings up a question. I guess in that year, you still have to pay for the actual cost of the hangar itself, but not the.
Yeah, from a from any city airport manager's perspective, right? If you start to collect hangars, you're collecting liability because now you're buying into, I gotta maintain it, I gotta do all of these things to it, paint it, keep it going. There's a belief that you can buy hangars and rent them, and you pretty quickly figure out that there's a lot of money that goes into the upkeep, and you end up committing the city to manpower that it doesn't have, to liability that it shouldn't be exposed to. So the only time, right, actually, the city should buy hangars is when they need to buy the land back for some kind of plan that is going to be part of the FAA's long-term plan. And we know that that is coming years in advance. So there's no surprises. We should be able to lead it with.
I still like the idea of saying, listen, if the end is inevitable, hey, you come with me and I'll give you a fair price, just, in litigation, and it gives the seller the option to then sell it to the, the alternative is the city doesn't have to buy it and they don't get anything.
That's why first refusal is great.
I think first refusal is a good idea.
They buy it, you get your money back and you can go get another one.
And I don't think not having it stops you.
General aviation, it hurts the use of aviation.
It does
That's what
hurt general
that's what we're trying to do to this airport. Or
I'm ambivalent about it. But I think that, I know, because I've done price per refusal. What ends up happening is basically that somebody either bids it up high enough where I can't afford it anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't care anyway, but I feel like it gives the seller kind of a heads up, on being able to get more money for their property. They're not forcing to buy it for the amount, they're forcing to buy it for market. If you've got someone who'll give more, then they're ready to force to match it for give you more money. That's it. But again, it's no deal breaker either way for me.
Okay, well, that's pretty good discussion here right now. So are we good with the 32, as we see fit, or do you guys want to, opt out on the motion and revisit it, or? The ball's in your court. Do you guys want to vote on it? Or stay with, eliminating 31 and then keeping 32? The way it is.
Well, we want to eliminate them, 31 for sure.
Okay, for sure. And you want to keep 32? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So far.
Okay, but if there's any upcoming discussions, we'll bring it back and we'll discuss it, and if there's any issues, then we'll look at it and we'll fine tune it. Okay, is that everything okay with it? All right.
Thanks, Ray.
Anything else? Mr. Shaw?
No, I was, me?
Mr. Britton?
I'm gonna thank you guys for enduring me. Boy, I'm supposed to come here and do this and I ended up making myself a bunch of extra work. And I think again, I go back to this discussion wouldn't have been possible a year ago. I can tell you right now that they said, this is the number. And that last council, and you would have took it and bared it. So I mean, the fact that we're, even considering this is miles ahead of it. And I'm like you, I'm afraid that there'll be another council 4 years from now, it'll go back the other way. And that's what I'm more worried about.
With that, if there's any, other discussion, Aaron, no other concerns?
So do we go and say, hey, we've been asking for airport master plan, so at some point do we say, hey, how do we get that in record so that's finally gonna be presented to the committee? Things such as that, things such as the real lease of the parking lot for the Forest Service. And also what is gonna be considered the business, so how do I say, hey, I want that to be public record, that information be provided finally? Cause I don't think it's really been stated that way, and it's kind of just been not dealt with.
Motion to get.
Is that how you do that?
Airport master planning.
Yeah, that should be available on.
Fernando,
So, well, no, the only thing is that I think what it is that it's not that we haven't brought it back for a specific, well, the specific reason is that the lease agreement was the important item. Obviously there was some other stuff that was mentioned.
I'm not even asking to discuss it, just have it so we can look at it.
Yeah, no, so.
So I'm not asking so we can discuss it, but so it can be brought up that, hey.
Oh, okay.
See it.
That's really up to the committee on how they wanna.
What specifically are you asking there?
The master plan.
The master plan, we'll put that on the website. That's not a problem. That's a public facing document.
And not the layout plan that shows you this where the proposed runway is gonna be and lighting and stuff like that, that was sent to us.
What are you looking for then? You want
That is the master plan, the next phase of expansion.
No, I was under the impression the master plan says, hey, where is gonna be commercial operations, general aviation, businesses.
there's not,
I
I will share that the master plan was developed by consultants, but the airport layout plan defined where future things will happen as far as like commercial or whatever, a new taxiway.
I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, the airport layout plan.
That's what you're talking about, right? Where the.
I guess if that's saying that, hey, over where the leased hangars are, now that can be business too. Business operations can occur there. And,
I don't think we.
Or is it good? Yeah, that's what I'm,
But I can.
I thought that was defined somewhere in a plan.
Any plans, I don't think we're there yet, honestly.
Yeah.
Based on the information that I know regarding the airport plans. I don't think that's been defined yet, but any of those plans, I'll make sure that it's posted on the website.
I think there are some old drawings that I have seen where everything to the east of the cafe is commercial. Everything to the west of the cafe is private hangar space. So this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, and is that
And it says, okay, all commercial operations are over here. These are all commercial leases. On the other side, these are all private leases for private hangar space.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I personally have never seen it. I think I've seen some conceptuals of what the consultants could have thought what the airport could be in a future years, but
I guess it's more of what is there's a policy that says, hey, this is gonna be, and I don't know
Not
if
aware
that's
of
in a
the-
plan or in a policy.
no, I'm not aware of one, but I'll make all those plans available on the website. You mentioned parking lot. What?
Yeah, for the Forest Service has using as a parking lot where there could be development there for businesses.
So there is not an actual agreement that defines, it's not a parking lot, that's actually the what has been developed is definitely in their agreement. Are you talking about where they park their cars?
Yeah.
That is kind of a mutual verbal
agreement.
It's not been defined yet. And can be removed and technically that where they're parking the trucks, and you may have noticed that they were removed, right, during the farming, because that land is actually under a farming lease.
I don't think they've ever been removed.
That area was farmed this past year.
Taxiway.
Yeah, they moved them all to the taxiway. So that.
I go by that way every day. I haven't noticed any farming. I know they're on the taxiway, but I don't notice any farming activity.
Yeah.
Every time.
Well, they could lease it, but that's when they.
It's true, they may have back
The same location.
proper, but that particular area that you're describing where the forestry trucks are parked is technically a dry farm lease.
Looks like weeds, looks like weeds maybe.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, that could be future perspective commercial operations. you know.
Right, and so as of right now, it's a dry farm lease. And that there's a mutual agreement that the forestry, when it's not being farmed, they can park their.
Yeah.
trucks there.
That would also, by developing that, would prevent the intermix down in the general aviation hangars.
Yeah, and I guess back to the whole point, I don't think there's been any definite like policy. This is for this. I mean, we're seeing a wide range of agreements where the inner triangle was all dry farm, and then we had a group come in that wanted to lease that for training exercises and what the city
Yeah.
decided to do. Okay, cool, let's do that. So I don't think there's been like a super defined thou shall kind of policy.
Okay. Yeah, because it's like,
And
it creates such a huge dust storm, huge. And there was a little bit of, maybe this is not where you're supposed to air that information, but yeah, and so just like, why are they there?
so
Like, this is where the committee can talk about airport things that I hope that those kind of challenges get discussed and then we can figure out a way to resolve it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, that dust. So,
That farming operation, believe it or not, is part of that is dust mitigation, because if you've got it under cultivation, then obviously it's not dusty. You either disc it once a year and leave it fallow the whole year, in which case it's always dust, or you disc it, once a year and farm it the rest of the year, in which case, it's keeping the dust.
I don't think the issue is the farming, it's the parking.
It's the parking trucks going on.
Okay, and they create the dust.
create the dust and then also hogging that up for development.
But no one's looking to buy anything now anyway, right?
No one's looking per se. I mean, Reach is trying to.
Yeah, but that's not his job. That's not what probably do that. I guess the best analogy I got is down south of all of Porterville Main Street. We had really restrictive code that only allowed for certain things, and then after a decade, nobody did them. So I always advocated for, why don't we loosen up the standards until such time as we get 80%, occupancy, and then we'll worry about being more rigid. And I guess my same analogy here. If there's some guys that want to do it, we'll make them move the trucks. But as of right now, they ain't doing it.
Yeah, no, just my thought is also if you start intermixing your businesses in your general aviation location, now what could have been dealt with just $1 million policy liability is now exposed because you have traffic coming in and out of there that it all kind of comes back around.
Did I read that we closed down, like the gate used to always be open to go in there? Is it regulated now with the punch thing, or how do you access the
parking lot?
Yeah, no,
To get into inside the perimeter, it's a gate, yeah.
So my point is as you expand these commercial things, I mean, obviously shouldn't somebody be kind of maintaining, controlling access?
That's what you'd think.
No, here's what he's talking about. So in aviation, how you manage risk is compatible.
Like what?
It's compatible use.
Mhm.
So my Piper Tomahawk is not compatible in a ramp with the 737. So what they do is commercial ramp, 737 lives on commercial ramp. General aviation is on private ramp. I never face his jet blast, right? I never accidentally taxi into his FAA secure area and create a safety violation. So the community understands the use of the airport. They know where the red lines are. I don't go there. They don't come over the other side. And that's how everybody doesn't have to have an airline policy because
Is that a problem yet?
For future.
How about we wait till it becomes an issue before we overthink it?
But we're already seeing it because you're asking me to put a $2 million policy on my airplane to mitigate risk.
So
So I guess what some of it is, it might be where.
Risk mitigation
Yeah.
is through proper use in airport planning. Right, so for example, you never put anything high energy close to a fuel farm because that's going to be an accident.
But I don't really see that. I got what you're saying. It's good for anything. But You know, I'm saying, I don't think this $1 or $2 million has to do with the issues, you know, there. So, you know, I think it's $2 million with just the small planes now. It's probably $3 million when we get jets in there.
But I'm not trying to get back
We,
on
we
that.
called, so just so you know, it's not. We called AOPA. I called my company. I asked them, hey, $2 million. They straight up told me, we will drop you.
You know that.
We will not going to renew you. You can get a $1,300 policy from. If I want to go get a commercial flight instructor policy for $5,000 a year, I can get easily $2 million policy. But that is a commercial flight instructor policy, right? And I'm going to flight instruct, meaning I'm going to routinely expose myself to somebody who doesn't know how to fly my airplane every day,
Right.
and they're going to mitigate that risk and accept that risk, right? Not I'm going to fly with another commercial pilot in my private airplane just for fun. And so what you
Your
do
risk
drives your
anyway.
risk,
Yeah.
right? If
But we're
I'm
not doing any of that.
So there is
there is
some look at bringing a commercial operation, I think, close to the general aviation hangars.
Okay.
But there already is commercial operation. So the parachute activity, that is a commercial operation, right? They have high risk. They jump out of
So you're
airplanes.
saying we are creating a situation where you have to get more insurance?
If the airport is not planned right, yes.
So that's where you're asking for the policy division between commercial and. private.
Yes. And that's where you
Because on the
don't,
commercial side, the taxiways are nice and wide, stuff can come by,
Yeah.
you know.
and then you go over to the private runway or the small airport, right? And it's very narrow. There's not supposed to be a high traffic area. It's basically.
Basically, everybody's within their boundaries, is
Yes.
basically what you're saying. Okay.
So it's the way the airport is used
Mhm.
applies to how it's managed.
And the liability insurances and stuff.
And then the risk is managed by which operations are next to each other. High-speed jets are very much not compatible with slow-speed airplanes. For wing turbulence categories, for a jet blast, intake hazard, right? So like jet engines, there's FAA security standards. If you end up with a part 119 operation, you're gonna have to have a security area.
Maybe the risks need to be evaluated every year.
Yes, the plan has to be evaluated.
I'm just talking.
You get started from starts, and it sounds like there is nothing.
Yeah, well, that's the problem is that our insurance company or the risk management agency, it's not commercial, it's just straight airport. If the city has an airport, we're saying everyone that has a lease out there is 2 million plus.
They're not discriminating between the subtleties and nuances of this, is what you're saying. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, then that comes back, then they starts like risk management is like, you can have an experimental aircraft. It doesn't have to meet the same inspections than a regular aircraft does. And so it's like, okay, they both have $2 million policies. But wouldn't the experimental be more of a risk than?
Well, it depends on, I guess, more on the size, wouldn't it be, Mike? I mean, if you're doing an ultralight or you're doing a plane, you know what I mean? How much damage can an ultralight compared to a Cessna or something, right? You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, I think, I don't know. Yeah, we're getting off, I'm getting off.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna bring it back.
Sorry, bring it back.
So where are we at now? We're good?
Other matters?
Other matters? By the way, that was a good little discussion.
They should watch one of our meetings. You play damn good meetings and they're cordial. We don't get the kooks at these meetings.
Then you go to Reach and they're a whole different ballgame.
He's not saying, yeah, exactly. We're gonna ask him what he wants. Just wants a damn permit is all he wants.
You guys are 135?
We are 135.
Yeah. So everything they do, all the parts they get, I think everybody has to be drug tested for any part that they get, you know, to where I don't have to have that. Experimental doesn't have to have that. So they're more stringent on what they can do.
He just wants an agreement so he can start building.
Yeah, that sounds like planning. That's like the engineering problem to me.
No, I think we resolved that. Now we're back to here.
Yeah, and the only other thing I saw, I
Yeah,
can't
last
find
year's
it
conversation
conversation.
was much different than.
Well, this is different now.
Yeah, I think
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's talked about
Third year. So.
airworthy airplanes and non-airworthy airplanes. You know, experimental airplanes they have to be airworthy. Experimental airplanes are not considered airworthy. They're just considered safe and conditioned.
Sean Denver learned that one, didn't he?
he did. Yeah, but he's right. The language in the contract has to be, registered for aircraft parts but I think it's
It's not limiting you, it just says that that you're talking about. There's a part in there where it talks about what are compatible air.
Number 4,
4A.
purpose, and storage of airworthy aircraft.
Yeah, that's an option. So that's one thing you can do, that's an aviation approved, and then B is also approved. So is C, D, E, aircraft parts, aircraft businesses, aircraft printing, tow equipment. That's okay.
Is that what you were?
Yeah, I thought I saw it somewhere else also.
Yeah, because I questioned that as well.
I thought I saw it somewhere else also, and that was,
Before that list of appropriate uses, it says, and aeronautical purposes such as the following. So that's not an exclusive list.
yeah, not limited to.
Yeah, not limited to an airworthy aircraft or something like that.
I thought it was in there somewhere else. I guess not.
In the previous version, I thought it was in there multiple. And it said you had to have one. At least.
Season of registration, you see 50% on others.
My little home built isn't big enough to that standard.
What are we looking at? I mean, you got money.
Yeah.
Oh, now we're getting, maybe the next session.
The language of the.
Yeah, next item.
Yeah, next item.
Yeah, I don't find any more unless somebody else has something.
I think we're good, sir.
Do we have a date for the next meeting?
No, that's.
January 14th.
It's my birthday.
Well, happy birthday. I'll bring you a cake.
Were you gonna be there?
No. I wasn't gonna come to this one.
You'll be in the next one.
I might be one.
Yeah, as of right now, it sounds like you guys are meeting every second Wednesday of each month, so that would land on January 14th of next month.
Well,
Unless the committee says otherwise.
if anybody doesn't have anything else.
Yeah, move for adjournment.
I second.
Second, Elliot, ayes. Aye. Randall, next time, can we have something?
A size.